Ultra Magnus has become bored with warfare. Having ended more sparks than he can count, he sets his sights on something greater. The destruction of the universe. Shattered glass. Ultra Magnus. That's a weird amount of headroom in that box, right? Makes him seem teeny tiny. Alright, so maybe I got a little bit excited and already blinged mine out. But in the Hamverse, I like to imagine that Shattered Glass Magnus succeeded. He destroyed his universe, only to find out there was a whole multiverse being left to run rampant and unchecked. And then he destroyed those. But reality is stubborn. And the Legacy Verse is the pocket dimension where all the fragments and remnants of dead timelines and universes end up. And that is Delta Magnus's hunting ground. I mean, what's not to love about a Magnus-wielding multi-matrix as he presides over the shattered remnants of a dying multiverse? Sign me up. I mean, come on, how metal is that? Alright, hamish flights of fancy aside, let's have a look at what you're actually going to get in this set. So in terms of actual in-package accessories, you get Laser Prime Sword, and a little matrix, which is pretty dope. You get his standard Magnus shoulder missiles. You get that big Magnus gun in Fire Engine Red. Zap.
Spider's great big muscles and his really big ray gun.
I kind of can't believe that this is the first Magnus that's getting a purpose review on the channel. Ultra Magnus is one of my all-time favorite characters. I have like an Earthrise Magnus review that's been sitting there unfinished forever because the journey into the Hamverse that Ultra Magnus inspired is like a half-hour OVA event all in itself, and it's taken a long time. So until then, we'll take a walk on the dark side of things. I really like the idea that the Magnus of this world was, you know, rocking around doing his Ultra Magnus thing, decided, you know what? I've killed so many people, it's probably time to do some universe destroying. I better stage a coup against Optimus Prime so I can have my way. Blah, it didn't work out. It didn't go according to plan. I got Krugered. He Krugered me. And look at that. Grab your Walkman, because he feels like he's about to Vecna me. Running up that hill! So his articulation isn't actually too bad for such a bulky boy. You've got a really good ball joint on this head, which the head sculpt leans into by not being as bottom heavy as your normal Magnus mug is. Then all the way around, even with big shoulders, huh? Legacy Prime? Look, big shoulders that twist. You can get all the way out, not quite a 90, but it would be. It's trying. He's got wrist swivel, waist swivel, well, sort of waist swivel. Because it's the Earthrise version, it's got these waist swivel impeding nubbins, but for whatever reason on this copy they don't quite lock him down the same way they do on my actual Earthrise Magnus. So he's free to twist again, like he did last summer. Universal at the hips with a thigh swivel, and then depending on, you know, where his leg is, you know, it's not bad. He's a chunky boy, and it's a lot of fun having a Nega Magnus. And given that, you know, essentially this is a siege mold, should the mood strike you, you can go ahead and craft yourself a Giga Magnus. Ah, yeah. Put those weaponizer ports into full effect. Oh man, was this worth the amount of time it took to set up in terms of screen time? No. Did I have fun doing it? Oh yes. If an opportunity presents itself to armor the bot, you armor the bot. So long as you're standing in front of me, you are in for a world of hurt. So, by way of a comparison, let's first take a look at him alongside a couple of other Shattered Glass staples. We've got Megatron and Starscream.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And we've obviously got to peep him alongside Earthrise Magnus. Ugh, who doesn't love having an evil doppelganger? It's just such a standard trope.
I'm bad, Ash. And you're good, Ash.
That's cool. I like that a lot. They've got a real He-Man and Skeletor ultimate adversaries thing going on, don't they? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get him into vehicle mode, but the cool thing about that is we get to make a little pit stop along the way to have a look at the bot within the bot. He actually looks quite cool in these colors. As for his articulation, I think this Judd Nelson tells you all you need to know.
Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
I quite like the comparison of him and Earthrise Optimus because rather than, this feeling like just a recolored Optimus alongside this mold, it just feels like he's another Prime from another universe or another Matrix-bearing candidate. If it's like the Convoy Council, like in the end of Beast Wars 2 when it became a whatever. Look into it, it's a thing. We're on a council. So I'm going to speed play this whole transformation because there's nothing particularly new or fresh here, and I feel like this video could be starting to get a little Long John Silver.
Space!
And that is one very blue truck, isn't it? I think using this mold is actually interesting on two fronts, because on the one side, why didn't they just use Legacy Laser Prime, seeing as that's how we've seen him before? And then, if you are going to use a Magnus, why wouldn't you use the Siege mold? Until now, they have seemed to preference Cybertronian molds for Shattered Glass wherever possible, because that seems like where most of the stories are told. Do they ever end up on Earth? I can't super remember. The other thing with the, robots in disguise nod of the Siege mold, it could have worked with Optimus Prime thing on a couple of different levels.
So many things.
It is a little bit of a shame that he doesn't really work as a car carrier in any real capacity, but he can run over them. Alright, let's go ahead and chuck him back into robot mode so that we can wrap this nightmare before Christmas. Oh man, I love armoring up bots. Bots with armor, love it, all about it. Let's do it in reverse.
Techno power!
So, that other head feature. You can probably just pop it off at the ball joint, but that freaks me out a little bit, and I feel like I remember Mark saying that you needed a screwdriver, so enter Tiny Screwdriver Kit. Tiny screwdrivers, unscrewing things that are too small for the regular kind. Is it safe? Ugh, his eyes are on the back piece. Ugh. I don't know if this is interesting or not, but the Delta Magnus head has a much smaller screw. I almost did not have a tiny screwdriver tiny enough to undo this, but I did. They do look kind of fun together. It has a vibe a little bit like that episode where Ultra Magnus went into like a Technicolor Dreamland Dorothy style. So this Delta Magnus, I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't know this if you're nerdy enough to show up here, but anyway, this is based off his Diaclone colors. Something that might be a little less widely known is the fact that the initial theatrical trailer for the Transformers, the movie, Ultra Magnus' debut, actually had him in these colors. Which, I don't know, this is cool, but I think Magnus definitely works better wrapped in the American flag.
Transformers, the movie.
So, this is definitely how I plan on displaying this dude for the foreseeable future. I really like him as the Dark Master of the end of the universe. I could completely understand if you were finding that you were getting a little bit fatigued with this mold, but if you can bring yourself to dip in one more time, this is a great way to do it. He's, it's not like the Siege to... It's not like it was with the Netflix box, Ultra Magnus, you know what I mean? It's not the same figure. It's not even like going from Siege to Earthrise. He does really feel like he's his own independent, separate dude, and if you're a Magnus fan like I am, he's a must-have, right? He's just so metal.